Time for another TOTHCARDS. So I found the earliest postcard, actually several of them, that Alex sent me back in 1984. I've been doing this series a little bit out of order because the cards and letters are not really organized. So I went back through them and I was looking for the earliest stuff. So I found it. I'm going to read that in a second. As ever, I like to show some of his art. So this was a book, The Art of Alex Toth. And it says some material here and maybe is available and maybe purchased from the artist. Well, I wish I had done that. But this book is from 1977. I got it later. Published by Al Delling. And it's interesting when you go through this. I'm going to only just show a little bit of this quickly, but I hadn't looked in this in a long time. But here Alex was actually experimenting with Mobius's style, which is kind of interesting to me. He didn't have some very many good things to say about Mobius's storytelling later, but I think he respected his actual artwork and style. But he didn't. I remember in one of the cards he didn't regard him as a real sort of expert sequential storyteller, but I suppose that's a matter of argumentation. That's a matter for argumentation. So this book was a reprint of various things he had done, and very nice story, The Vanguard. As always, Alex's expert placement of sequencing art and picture very carefully. These were ones he did when he was in the military, I believe. John Fury in Japan. And I won't go through them all, but it gives people a taste of his various, even his various approaches to artwork. Like this one is more graphic. I really like it. Harkening towards his later sort of stripped down style. Some of the eyes, for example, here, like they're just dots. He got a little cartoonier with some of the characters. Although you could say it's a little inconsistent because in other places the same character's drawn quite realistically. Anyway, that's a matter for another day. I'm going to read the postcard. So the story here was, I had heard about Alex Toth, and I think probably from a book like this, his address was available because he's got it printed right here, his old address. And so I just took the step of writing him. I mean, I was kind of at a point where I was just beginning. I was 25 and in 1984 and trying to figure out the next steps for a career, comics. Always loved his artwork, and when I saw that he had an address, and I think I'd heard that other people had successfully written him, I took the step and wrote him a letter. And, that was a bit of a nerve-wracking thing. So I wrote him what now when I read it, I'm not going to read it now, but it's this letter here. It's incredibly cringy. This is like a Xerox of it that I happened to take at the time. And I wrote him a very sincere kind of but cringy letter, asking for advice and stuff. So I was quite surprised when, I guess about a week later, I got this back. And, I was delighted to read it. And, I think he had put these postcards inside. You see, what I'm going to show you here is there's a few. I might not read all three because there's actually two postcards that are dated the same day, 23 April 1984. And then there's an actual letter. Okay, so here's one from 8 April. That's interesting. So I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to do that probably in my next video because it's too long if I get all these. But I'll read these two, which are actually dated later. Didn't even realize that. But anyone following this series knows that he later started drawing a dead duck as his trademark thing. But here this is fun. He's drawn, he had sent this to a studio I had back and which I shared with some other artists back in the 80s. And he drew a much happier character. And I believe, if my memory serves me, that he called this his pert character. So what's a pert? A pert is the opposite of an expert. So he didn't have a lot of good things to say about experts. So I think what you wanted to be was a pert. A pert was someone I don't know, I won't even try and define it, but I know that I think I saw that. Unless I'm mistaken, it's the type of thing on the internet you say, fix me in the chat or tell me in the comments to this video if someone knows different. Anyway, there's two of these. This is the continuation, so I'll read the first one here. And he's written one of two, so I was amazed to see two postcards turn up. So here he says, okay, I'm going to stop myself again for a second, but I think I had probably been moaning about turning away work or not knowing what to do or something. So he chewed into me a little bit in a friendly way. He said, look, son, there's nothing noble about my turning away work, believe me. Please, at this time, your days of youth, hot juices flowing, all reflexes on go, senses sharp and quick. When you're young, open, willing, and able learning tool, a sponge, etc. Don't turn away work. You have lots of muscles to exercise that I've lost through apathy, weariness, atrophy, cynicism. Flex, use, grow, pump up all those many muscles of talent, wonder, curiosity, daring, versatility, adaptability, information, revelation, creativity. Don't sour on the field now. I think I've been probably bemoaning the difficulty of getting into comics from afar, from Toronto. I don't remember, but he was kind of chiding me, but also encouraging me, as you can tell. He says, don't sour on the field now. Use it to your own fiscal, professional advantage now. Do your best at every job you get for the best terms your work can command. If you don't, you'll leave the field to the fakers and no-talents who populate too much of it now. Good advice, eternal advice, these many years later. And it'll get worse without you. You have multifaceted talent. I like and respect your clear visions. I had sent him a bunch of tear sheets of different things I had done. I want to see you, in print, popular, financially successful at it, Paul, okay? My way isn't the best way to go through 42 years, because I'm not the most fiscally sound inkslinger I know, and the bad hacks make all the bucks, always have, being fast, dependable, an editor's dream. No hassles, no opinions stated about lousy scripts. They just work and are always in print. So fight 'em quietly, in your own way. Show 'em how, etc., and win at the game. You can have both. Standards and success. Corbin did it. Thorne did it. Sim, too. He means Dave Sim. Kirby, even Miller. Do it, Paul. Alex. I think he's referring here to, no opinions stated about lousy scripts. He had probably gotten into some scraps with editors when he wanted to fix the story, because it's probably like, reining in and weighing down a racehorse that wants to run the track, and he's given some kind of script that's semi-incoherent, and he has to try and turn it into something, probably because he needed the work, like we all do, needed the money. So there's a little bit he added on in the back here, where he says, P.S. Vortex cover and reverse side art. Good work, Paul, as always. Please send me Mr. X on release, eh? My best again. Now, postcard 2, I guess he had more to say, so he wrote me another postcard saying they both arrived, like I said. So it says 23 April 1984, continued. My first postcard hopefully will arrive with or prior to this one. Whatever you cannot find in comics today is what you can, should, must do. The race and future belongs to the young, Paul. Don't stumble over your high principles. Use them in print. Work like hell, kiddo. Well, I did. Spread your own sunshine. Know that bad can drive out the good. But I want to see fine Rivoche comics, posters, illos, graphics, paintings, while my candle sputters down and out. Don't give up. If you do, think of how happy you'll make all the mediocrities who won't have you to compete with be measured by. Am I clear enough? They will win and succeed by default, as they do so bloody often. Don't be scared of them or anyone or anything else. This is very helpful advice at this time. I'm interjecting. Don't be scared of them or anyone, anything else. Be yourself, do your best, be prolific, busy, and save your dollars. Too short young, too soon old, say the Hawaiians. A truism. No jazz. No hair shirts for you, Paul. Go get 'em. I believe a hair shirt was some kind of medieval religious form of penance where they wore scratchy or itchy hair shirt, a shirt made of hair. That's what my memory coughs up, why he used that phrase. Here. So he's saying don't medievally torture yourself. Just go get 'em. Be your best. Compromise when, where, how you must. We all have to. It is hard. It's outrageous, awful, funny, wonderful, gratifying, rolled into one. He's very wise, really. He says, I'm just a stubborn old grump, not a paragon of virtue. I've been awful and okay and good in turn. Can't bat 1,000 all the time. You will, I know, find your own way all your active life. You can have it all. Truth, quality, beauty, integrity, and mucho lucre. Yes, I often get stuck. I had asked him about what he does when he gets stuck, artistically stuck, creative block or what have you. He said, yes, I often get stuck. I tear up lots of paper. Bad habit. I try to silhouette key elements at once to fill in later. The lighting and effects dictate how. I do paint, sort of. Nothing in print, but maybe soon a cover. I'm writing up strips for Europe now. Here we go. P.S. I've had a rum go lately. Stops and starts. An interruptive, non-productive time. But I'm trying to resolve woes long piled up and get on with it. No way to get rich, Paul, I assure you. And he just signed it me, which is very friendly. And, in this series, I try and show, really, by revealing these, they're not super private, but they are written to me as a person. And he was a real individual. And you can see from what he's writing, if you read between the lines, you can infer all the creative struggles that every artist has, even someone like Alex Toth, which, people call him the artist, which he was in a way, and they revere him as a master. Or on the other hand, the other side of the spectrum is the other extreme. He's portrayed on the internet, or has been, the urban legend of the horrible curmudgeon, bitter, wicked guy that was tearing up everybody's artwork, but like always, the truth is in between, in the gray zone. And the gray zone is that he was a human being, just like all of us. He was making a living, like he said in one of these cards, he did okay work, pretty good work, and often brilliant work, depending on where you set your meter. But I know he was pretty hard on himself. But the point is, he was making a living the whole time and trying to find his way forward and trying to juggle that difficult task. I think I can say this for him, that you're trying to develop your art and deepen your ability, but you're sort of triangulating because the whole time, you're trying to succeed in a commercial arena in which you're competing. There's changing tastes, so that the times dictate the type of artwork and the sort of look that's going to be commercially successful. So I think he was navigating that, like famously in comics, in the earlier 70s, when I was reading as a kid, reading comics, late 60s, 70s, there's a great array of different styles. Later, this whole image look, the ink, the sort of hatchy inking thing came along, and everybody was doing that. So you have him navigating this whole changing arena and trying to, follow his interests, but still make a living, at least in the time where he was doing this. I don't think he'd been completely reclusive. And he was still doing art and doing some covers and some shorter pieces. So that's, I guess, how I'm rounding out this video. I'm saying that these cards, to me, reading them these many years later, it portrays a picture of a human being who was very gifted, but he was not this caricature of an extreme. Again, I'm repeating, either the impossibly great master that, is so remote on a mountaintop that he has to be revered as a god, or on the other hand, the other extreme, the kind of bitter curmudgeon that's kind of hated and feared by people because, like, oh, he's going to say these harsh things about people. Like, he really didn't. I had one or two cards, which I'll probably eventually get to, where he chewed me out a little bit. And even in this one, he chewed me out mildly. But it was more like a parent would, coach a kid, like, get back out there in the game and cheer up and do your best. And so it was a mixture of being chided and also encouragement. So that's my plea. And like I said in other videos of this series, I'm reading these and doing this just to keep spreading the word about his work, and in the hope that with this great internet resource of all the stuff you can find online, that younger cartoonists who might stumble across this and who might actually bother to listen, they'll go look it up, because you can find tons of his art. Like, I've got a binder here I'll show you that I let me see if I can zoom back here. Nope, that's zooming up. That's as much as I can zoom back. I just got one of these binders you can buy and print it out. These are all just printed from the internet. The best quality scans I could find. Some of them are from that auction site, Heritage, and I just print them out for my own use. And others I got from comics. Like, I think this is from that great Batman story, Death Flies the Haunted Skies, which I found scans of. And what I did is, using Photoshop, like I said, in cases where I can find the original art, I use that and print it out because it's much clearer. But in other cases, I just took the black out, extracted it in Photoshop, and printed it out. Because as a comic artist who's drawing this stuff, I love the color, but I don't want to be distracted when I'm studying.